forgotten just how long this story is. Welcome to the Time Treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. When the 30th anniversary of Doctor Who came around in 1993, the program was no longer on the air. But they did do a sort of 30th anniversary story called Dimensions in Time. It was a two-part, 15-ish minute story that used all of the color era doctors, although true to form, Tom Baker phoned his in by sitting in a booth and reading from a script. But the 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctors were all filmed running around the East End of London with a variety of companions, including Leela, Romana, K9, and a few others, Ace, and with the Ronnie as the bad guy. And then, for good measure, they tossed in a crossover with multiple actors from the East Enders, which I guess makes more sense if you're familiar with the EastEnders in the mid-90s. I didn't recognize any of the actors at all. I just actually watched that for the first time ever yesterday, and it was, about what you'd expect from 2 6-minute episodes filmed rapidly on the streets of London with no coherent plot and nothing but nod, wink, wink. It's pretty dreadful, actually. And that's how the 30th anniversary of Doctor Who was marked. Of course, then in 1996, there was the TV movie with Paul McGann, which went over like a lead balloon, and the series again returned to obscurity in the wilderness years. In 1999, Doctor Who returned again very briefly in a comedic special for the charity fundraiser Red Nose Day, with the Doctor being played by Rowan Atkinson and the Master being played by Jonathan Pryce. The story was written by Stephen Moffat, and it is brilliant. It is absolutely delightful. And it includes a string of cameos at the end where the Doctor rapidly regenerates through multiple forms. And he's played by the likes of Hugh Grant, Jim Broadbent, Richard E. Grant, and even Joanna Lumley in the first time the Doctor regenerates into a female form. It's a fantastic special. I highly recommend you seek it out. It's on YouTube. It's worth every minute. It's absolutely delightful. And that brings us to today's story, or at least the first half of today's story that I watched. The Scream of the Shalka. The 40th anniversary of Doctor Who rolled around in 2003, and the BBC decided they had to mark it somehow, and so they mounted a 6-part animated web series written by Paul Cornell, who is one of the best modern-day Doctor Who writers and whose novels are phenomenal. Again, I highly recommend them. You should seek them out. The Scream of the Shalka once again cast Richard E. Grant as the Doctor, which is a phenomenal casting, and it works beautifully. At the time, he was tipped off as the fan favorite to play the Doctor in the revived series, which by 2003 the stirrings were fully in place and people knew that a new series was coming. Of course, ultimately the part went to Christopher Eccleston, but Richard E. Grant would eventually show up in the series as the Great Intelligence during the 11th Doctor era. It's a phenomenal role for him, and I'm delighted to have had him finally actually on the show proper. That's not the only significant appearance in this story. It also has Derek Jacobi playing the Master, who he would of course later go on to play the Master again in the 10th Doctor era, before a shocking regeneration into the next Master. And again, that's not all the surprises this story has in it. Oscar award-winning actress Sophie Okonedo plays the major companion character in Scream of the Shalka, and she will go on to play Liz 10 during the 11th Doctor era of Doctor Who. And there's one more surprise to be had in this story. David Tennant does an uncredited role as one of the soldiers in this story, cast in that part largely due to his voice appearances in Big Finish audio series of Doctor Who. Even here, David Tennant is circling the part like a shark. And so, to mark the 40th anniversary of Doctor Who, Scream of the Shalka was released in 6 15-minute animated episodes spread out across the 40th anniversary of the show in the winter of 2003. And it is excellent. Regarding that, well, I'll get into the story itself tomorrow when I watch the second half. I'll see you then.